Hello everyone. First of all, I'm starting to feel significantly better. I was diagnosed with strep throat. I've been on antibiotics for a couple of days now, and it's obviously already starting to clear up really well. That means that the giveaway this upcoming Friday is absolutely a go. We will be going for the giveaway. I'm gonna be giving away all the remaining ships and stuff, and honestly we had a lot left over, which means giveaways on Twitter and on Discord will restart again on Friday. We have a lot of tier 9s, we got a lot of ships of your choice. Basically there's a lot of giveaways, a lot of stuff left to give away that I never got around to doing. So all of that will be done on this upcoming Friday. The idea was of course to do it last weekend, but sickness got in the way. What can you do? I think you guys survive with having to wait an extra week for this stuff, considering how good all the rewards are. Today, however, I'm going to be featuring the Petropavlovsk, the upcoming tier 10 Soviet heavy cruiser. This is the ship that will be replacing the Moskva. One of the first things that probably stick out is the concealment. The concealment is 11.3, which is obviously significantly better than anything that the previous Moskva had. The health pool is lower as well, but the armor is actually really strong. It's got very strong spaced armor, but more importantly when we're talking World of Warships is the fact that it's got a 50mm upper belt, 50mm deck armor, and it has that icebreaker armor at the bottom, which means you can't even get Citadel overmatched through the nose at close ranges by any battleship in the game. The upper part of the bow and the stern is 25mm, however, which means that yes, those parts can be overmatched and those parts can be farmed, and of course the superstructure can be farmed as with anyone. Still though, this 50mm plating combined with this concealment and honestly more agility than what the Moskva has means that the Petropavlovsk is an incredibly tanky cruiser as long as you maintain your angling. If you give broadside, yes, it can be citadeled very consistently, but angled, this thing is an absolute beast. For some reason the air concealment is also very low. You see how high that tower is? They say that they balance air concealment based on like the highest point of the ship, but for some reason this massive ship with that really high tower only has an air concealment of 6.7 kilometers, and the AA range is 6.6. And even stranger is, you saw that I shot, but the Z46 didn't spot me. The smoke concealment is only 9 kilometers. In comparison, Venezia has a 9.9 kilometer air concealment, smoke firing penalty, and an 8 kilometer air concealment. This thing has 6.7 and 9, so compared to one of the more recent releases, very different. It also has the radar, but the radar is very short duration. It is only 10-second radar. It's 12 km, but only 10, which means in the case of the Petropavlovsk, you get one volley off. In this case though, a radar as he was closing in on Friesland's Hydro, so Friesland's Hydro caught him right after and we managed to kill him off. Note that this cruiser does have that Soviet special dispersion, which means that the closer you get, the better your dispersion, which of course in situations like that where we're shooting a point-blank destroyer, well, you could see just how painfully accurate those guns were. But as soon as we switch to targets further away, well, the dispersion starts getting a bit more wonky. But I haven't really gotten into the guns yet, and yeah, I've gotten into the armor and the concealment, which are both excellent on this thing. But more important really is the guns. First of all 3 turrets are 360. That means they can all turn a full 360 degrees, both the 2 in the front and the 1 in the back, which especially when you're pushing in means that you can swing your guns to the left, then you can swing your guns to the right, and you can maintain angling very easily while keeping all your guns on the target. So very powerful. Another aspect of these guns, well, the base range is 18.4. I'm running the reload mod, which puts the reload at a pretty terrifying, I think it was 11.4. Don't quote me on that. Let me check my reload when we shoot to see if I'm talking not nonsense. Shadbart is angling away. Never mind. No testing done here. The more important part here is though the HE is the HE does okayish damage with an okayish fire chance. but that's not really the selling point of the Petropavlovsk. The selling point of the Petropavlovsk is that the AP is completely, utterly ridiculous, and probably this is the one thing that I think might be just a bit too much. The AP on this ship has almost the same penetration as the Stalingrad. In fact, I'm gonna put up a few graphs for you guys. You see that graph? The graph. The Bismarck is the blue line. The blue line going from the left to the right. That's Bismarck penetration. That yellow line, that dark yellow line, that's Petropavlovsk penetration. So you essentially have 380mm battleship gun penetration on these 220mm guns. It far outperforms the likes of Moskva, even the likes of Puerto Rico. Honestly, it's best comparable with Stalingrad. Stalingrad has slightly better penetration, but Petropavlovsk gets somewhat close to that penetration. And considering that these other ships have much larger caliber guns, and Petropavlovsk only has 220mm guns on this very fast reload, it gives you some idea of just how much firepower you pack on this ship in terms of AP. You also have improved penetration angles of the Stalingrad, and you also have that improved fuse of the Stalingrad, which means that even though your shell velocity is insane, you actually don't end up getting that many overpens as you normally would. So the ship in terms of AP power, it can be absolutely terrifying. The closer you get, the more of a monster you become. Here though, I'm just angling against the Amagi. I mentioned 50mm deck and upper plating, which means I have no issues basically bouncing any AP the Amagi shoots at me. On the other hand, he can not really angle against my AP at all because of the improved pen angles and of course because of that great penetration. The only thing that's really saving him right now is the dispersion. Zal pops up around the corner, big mistake. I don't think I take quite enough lead. No, not quite enough lead. Still getting used to these guns. As I mentioned, this is more of my first impressions of this ship. Taking a bit better lead next volley, and you can see of course at these closer ranges these guns become exponentially more powerful. The Petropavlovsk is a cruiser you want to push in with, and unlike something like the Aegir or Siegfried or these meme ships that don't have any armor, the Petropavlovsk actually has enough armor to be able to push in and fulfill the role that these ships could not. Because you can just sustain for so long. Add in things like Kuznetsov, which of course is fantastic on this ship, and you become such a hard ship to deal with. Angled like this, well, Zhao HE shatters, Amagi AP bounces. They can only really target my superstructure or balance turn. Anything else is untouchable to them. Amagi slows down. Trying to get some good volleys in. I'm trying to see if I can actually citadel him. Note that because of this incredible penetration, that you can actually citadel you can citadel every battleship basically at closer ranges, but some battleships can be citadeled at 10 km away, 15 km away even, as long as they give you enough broadside. That's how good the penetration on these guns is. So absolutely something of a, well, you could almost call classic Soviet fantasy guns. They are in full effect on the Petropavlovsk. So that's really the biggest gimmick of this ship. Is it overpowered? Is it super strong? I've had a hard time to really make a definitive call. It has all the ingredients to make it very powerful, but the poor dispersion at longer ranges has been a bit of a limiting factor so far. You see these volleys that look absolutely perfect, and then when the volley lands, you actually only end up getting maybe one citadel or so. In fact, the damage-wise, I don't think the damage numbers I've been putting out in the ship have really been that impressive. But I've also played this ship only for one day. I have only played this ship for one day, so I don't really know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm speculating, I'm basing it on my experience, but it's very short experience. I think it has all the tools available, incredible armor, great concealment, good consumable utility, the synergy with Kuznetsov, and of course these incredible guns. I think it has all the tools available to it to be a very, very powerful ship, but as I have not yet been able to truly have some sort of monster game, something where I've just gone, holy shit, I'm not gonna call it quite broken yet. We need to play it some more. I think my preliminary opinion is that these guns are probably too much of a threat. They are just ridiculous. I don't like. It doesn't even make any sense. Why are guns that are such small caliber capable of outperforming battleship guns? It makes absolutely no sense. And on Stalingrad, it made little sense, but at least the Stalingrad was a huge battleship-esque platform with these fairly large caliber guns with a long reload. But on this thing, you see I'm shooting every 10 seconds. And I'm throwing out guns with battleship capacity penetration. I'm throwing out shells with battleship capacity penetration, and this just seems, creating crossfires with these things seems like such an absolute nightmare to deal with, because it's in the sense that Stalingrad shells you need to perfectly angle against these guns. You can't half-ass the angling against these guns. It's like fighting a Des Moines. You have to angle properly. You have to respect the guns. Still, something that needs to be. I will be playing this more while I'm taking a bit of a day off today. I have my sauna turn today, so I'm gonna try to clear the rest out of my voice, showing of course how easily I can citadel and NC at 10 kilometers. I was hoping actually to get much better volleys than that. I'm a bit unfortunate that I only got one citadel, and even the follow-up volley was once again just one citadel. Maybe I aimed too high, too low, I'm not sure. Regardless, you can absolutely citadel battleships consistently in this thing without any sort of fear. I just really didn't get the juicy volley that I wanted here. Note that, of course, health-wise, I'm sitting at 36,000 out of 55, meaning I am very healthy indeed, even though I was tanking a lot of incoming fire from various ships. In fact, farming potential damage in the ship is so very easy, because of its smaller size, and because unlike the Stalingrad, it doesn't burn like a battle cruiser, it burns like a cruiser, which means fires are a smaller threat, and the better concealment means it's easier to disengage and heal up in between fights. I've already approached 4 million potential in this cruiser, and as I said, I've only played a handful of games since I was literally given this ship yesterday. So the Petropavlovsk is a huge maybe. It's absolutely not a weak ship. Let's start it off. There's no chance that this ship is weak or that this ship is poor. Not with these tools. But the question that remains now is it too strong? I like the idea of a tanky cruiser. I don't really mind that. I don't mind the concept of an angled cruiser being tanky as long as he maintains angling. The question is whether having these kinds of guns on a ship with this much armor is really fair to any of the other cruisers that he's fighting. Well, sometimes even the battleships, because the battleships struggle to do damage while he can just push up and citadel. In this case, this is basically the way you want to fight most tier 10 cruisers in this ship, which is hold down W, close the distance as quickly as you can. The ship isn't that fast. This is with speed flag. I'm doing, what, 34 knots going in a straight line with speed flag. As soon as I start turning, I lose some of that speed. But you want to close the distance as soon as possible. The closer you get, the better your dispersion gets, and of course the more overwhelming your AP becomes when you can consistently land these volleys. And he makes the mistake of trying to turn out. That Hindenburg turtleback absolutely does not work against these improved AP angle shells, especially with this kind of penetration, and that was actually my Kraken in this match. And once again, it felt fairly effortless. It didn't feel like I put in too much work to really get that Kraken. I kind of just sat angled and then pushed in whenever I felt like it, and they couldn't really do a whole lot about me. Carriers would probably be a threat. I mean, they're a threat to everything, but it does have 6.6 km AA range for some reason, which is basically the same as the plane concealment 6.7. So it's actually quite resilient against carriers as well, thanks to that. And this game ends. Note that the reason I got that extra billion is because there's those test missions that give you 1 million extra credits. It's to make up for the money we use to buy modules and stuff and so forth. Overall though, initial impressions, this thing, potential monster. I need to learn to play it better. I need to like get used to it. The guns are a bit weird. They're very fast, but you don't really have that cruiser dispersion at long range. On the other hand, at close range, you basically have destroyer dispersion. The tanking is monumental. I think it's gonna come down to figuring out how to play this cruiser as aggressively as possible, because the more aggressive you are, the more you benefit from that improved dispersion. So, initial impressions. Certainly not a bad ship. Let's put that out of the question. No chance this ship is bad, but whether or not it's too strong, we'll have to test. At this point, I am gonna speculate that having this much penetration with improved AP angles on mere 220mm guns is honestly a bit too fantasy, even for wargaming. That remains to be seen though. Team score wise, not really that much, 2.2k, 5 kills, pretty comfortable push through that southern flank. Detailed report wise, I basically shot mostly AP this game because it's so powerful. I rarely see a reason not to. The HE is okay, but the AP is a complete monster. Damage taken, well, AP 20 hits, 17k, tells you just how many of those shells I straight up bounced, and HE 38. 19k. Now keep in mind that this was not small caliber HE. This was what, Albemarle, this was Zao, Hindenburg. This was high caliber HE that was shooting at me, and still the damage was basically non-existent. So damage resistance and potential alpha damage output is absolutely very high. More testing required. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this preview, this first look at this upcoming Tier 10 Soviet heavy cruiser. I will talk to you guys later, and as always, if you feel like dropping me a sub, I do appreciate it, because our next goal is reaching 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. Then I can give you guys another huge giveaway, which would actually be absolutely amazing. Regardless, I'll see you guys tomorrow for my normal stream, and I'll probably see you guys especially on Friday for that huge giveaway. Have a fantastic rest of the day, and I'll talk to you guys later.